First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. Shalom to those for elect, preaching His word in truth and sincerity, and to you ribs, to you sisters out there learning in silence and staying in order. I say to you all, Shalom. Right, we came across this article. I think it's very important, especially in the times that we're in right now, amidst the strikes in the ports, right, for shipping containments. Not very long ago we had the truckers strike, right, which scared the people, man, and also created a shrinkflation in the U.S., where it made products either marginally higher price with less quantity in those products. And we're dealing with a society that's obese, right, systematically. We know that the fast food restaurant chains have ties to the CIA, things of that nature, right? So these foods are put there to make people act a certain way, be a certain way, and also not be reproductive, all part of population control. So without further ado, this is an article out of naturalnews.com, right? And it's talking about Big Pharma, right? Big Pharma. You see the words there on the screen. Now, pharma, when you go into the Greek, goes into pharmakia, which is sorcery, right? So they're using food, right? Because when you think about witches, right, if you think about the cartoon, they got this pot and they're stirring it up. It's a poison, right? And in this poison, they make people do things, right? Whether it's to kill them off instantly, slowly, make them fall in love, make them do something. But it's something given to you for you to act a certain way, or something to happen to you to manipulate you in some type of way. This is sorcery, right? So food could be used as sorcery, right? Because medication or pills are derived from herbs and things of that nature, right? Where the scriptures talk about herbs are made for healing, Esau uses it on the left-hand side, right? So herbs, food, all these things are to be digested or applicated, right? And that's what he uses, right? He used it on the left-hand side. And this is why we see the use of opiates. So for example, when you mix meat and cheese, right, it creates a dopamine-like reaction in your brain. So technically, you don't got to take drugs. You don't got to take heroin or cocaine, right? The food is the same thing when you mix them up a certain way. Okay, without further ado, let me read this thing, right? So Dr. Casey Means is his name. It says 3 in 4 Americans are obese, right? That makes it 75% of the population is above weight, right? And that number is increasing. It says, and public health is in crisis because the food supply is poison, right? So the Hebrew Israelites has been talking about this for much long time, right? And people still know these things, right? And they still, because of the drug effect in their brain, they still go out and do all these things, right? Because systematically, right, you don't want a society that's healthy, right, free thinking, that can actually think on their own, come together, right, unite, right, make concise thoughts, right, to elevate their own society, right? But this is all of the Lord, right? Because at the end of the day, this is the Lord's movie. But when you look at it on paper, I'm talking about, this is what you see play out, right? It's a manipulation of people, because if you'd had it any other way, when the people are healthy, you get the Malcolm X's, right? You get the Martin Luther Kings, right? You get the Black Wall Streets. You get, organized organized mobs in a sense, right? So because of the food and poison in the food supply, right? This is what the headline says. This is what happens usually. It says, aging secrets, Alzheimer's, bad health, bad medicine, right? These are all tags. It says censored science, chemical violence, chronic illness, dementia, right? Mental health, obesity, public health, right? Things of that nature is tagged. Right, it says, during a appearance on the Joe Rogan show, Dr. Casey, right? Casey means, right? You can watch that podcast on the Joe Rogan show. It says, spilled the beans about just how sick and decrepit American population has become in the age of chemicals, pharmaceuticals, right? There's that word again, pharmakia, sorcery, right? They're saying 5Gs, vaccines, and other modern day abominations, right? I'm not too sure about that 5G thing. I'm not knowledgeable as far as the 5G thing. I did meet somebody who worked in the military for, in that field, and he says that according to what he was taught, that is not dangerous for the body per se, but I'm not gonna take the military's word, so I'm not too educated on that. You take it with a grain of salt. It says vaccines and other modern day abominations. Now we do know vaccines have been proven to cause damage, more damage than good. So we know that. We know pharmakia is real, right? We know that there are chemicals in the food. Those are all real. Quote, we are getting destroyed, and it's very recent. Dr. Means told Rogan and his audience, and it's accelerating, he says. So he said that we are getting destroyed, right? And he's saying it's very recent, but that's not true. I mean, for example, back in, I believe it was the 50s, they said that smoking was perfectly healthy, knowing, right, what was in these cigarettes, knowing that smoke is not good for the lungs, right? This is just simple, like, to understand, especially to a scientist. Like, you could take smoke and put it in a plastic bag and then watch that plastic bag turn black, man. That's your lungs. So it's really not that hard to figure it out if it's good or bad. But they used to tell people that cigarettes were healthy, right? Whereas they had commercials where doctors were on these commercials smoking cigarettes, and the population says, if the doctor's doing it, then it's gotta be healthy. So then, a lot of quote unquote cool people, rebellious people, like, people like the Elvises and things of that nature, people like that. I'm not saying Elvis smoked, I'm not sure, but I'm saying they used people like that to promote smoking. Right? It says, as of this writing, about 74% of, or 1 in 4 Americans either overweight or obese. So, right? It says, and the figure seems to be rising all the time. Young adults are also developing cancer at a rate of 79% higher compared to 10 years ago. That is crazy, right? Here we go. Vaccines, right? Food, right? And also other technologies out there that manipulate frequencies. I'm not saying it's 5G, but 5G could be used to push signals out to manipulate our bodies, because our bodies are made of frequency, right? Even grass has a frequency, right? Music has a frequency, right? You get my drift? Right, quote, 25% of men under 40 now have erectile dysfunction, Dr. Means added, right? So these are the foods. What happens when a male cannot get erected? He cannot really have sex. He cannot please a woman. The woman gets frustrated. They don't even finish the act. The man then goes into a spiral behavior, right? Into depression, right? He reproduces less. It causes chaos among society. And there's 40% of men like that. And then we get these cycles out there, right? It's a snowball effect, right? Even with health. When you don't take care of one part of your body, another part, suffers. Even when you're working out. If you worked out and you had a muscle imbalance, your body is going to suffer from it. Right? It says, quote, 50% now of American adults have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes. These were diseases where there was 1% of Americans in 1950 that had type 2 diabetes. Now it's 50% of Americans have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. And this comes from insulin resistance, right? So insulin resistance is when you take way too many carbs, you drink too many coffees with sugar in it, you drink too many juices with sugar in it, right? And you add it all up, you're drinking about 3 pounds of sugar a month, right? So then the body goes on overdrive to try to either fight these sugars, right, or store them, right? And these ketones and things of that nature, they're overloaded with work. So they say, oh, put it to the side. We're going to deal with what we got now. Put that to the side. We're going to deal with what we got now, right? Now, I do recommend a type of ketogenic diet for brothers and sisters out there to remove a lot of these pre-diabetes diseases, right? Look those up. I'm currently on a carnivore diet where I only eat meat, cheese, and eggs. That's it, right? And it's been working for me. I've lost, 20 pounds. Brothers could attest. I've tried the vegan diet, right, as well. And I didn't try the regular keto diet yet. I haven't tried that yet, but that could be something I could try as well. But anyways, just get into something that you like and enjoy, and just stick to it. But make sure that health is important, man. What you put in your mouth, right, is important because it affects the way your temple operates, right, where the spirit lies, right, where the soul is. It says the American food supply is literally poison. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been saying many of the same things while campaigning, both as an independent candidate for president and a top pick for Donald Trump's cabinet should the former president win a second term. Like Kennedy, Dr. Means understands that something is very, very wrong with public health in America today, especially compared to not that long in the past when most people were generally considered to be healthy. Quote, Alzheimer's, dementia are going through the roof, Dr. Means warned, right? Where sugar, again, causes dementia, right? And also the aluminum that's wrapped in a lot of our food. We cook with a lot of aluminum. We store with aluminum, right? Things of that nature. We're getting sprayed with some metals, right? With the Camp to the Trails. It says, even more disturbing is the risk of developing cancer, which is higher than ever. Today, one of our very 2 people, or 50% of the population, will develop cancer at some point in life, while another 1 in 36 will develop autism. Right? Autism is on the rise, and that's because of the vaccines, in my opinion. Right? And a lot of the sugar is causing the cancers, because cancer survives off of sugar. If we cut out the sugar, right, we stop feeding the cancer. It's simple, right? Sugar has the same dopamine and addictive qualities as cocaine. Look up the cocaine and sugar studies on rats. It says, quote, that was 1 in 150 in the year 2000. Dr. Means explains about how autism was relatively rare even as recently as the turn of the century, right? Why? Because vaccines were increased from 1970s to the 90s was increased, and then so forth and so forth. It's even more now, right? Quote, in California where I live, autism rates are in 1 in 22 with a lifetime neurodevelopment disorder. Every year, infertility rates increase by another percent point, she continued, while 77% of the young Americans are no longer even eligible to serve in the military because of obesity and or drug use. Then there's autoimmune disease crisis, which is increasing by a whopping 13% year over year. Quote, Heart disease, which is almost totally preventable, is the leading cause of death in the United States, killing around 800,000 people per year. Right? That's short of 1 million people a year. Dr. Means added, it's basically like all of us are a little bit dead while we're alive. Right? As difficult as it may be to acknowledge these sobering statistics, they serve as a permanent reminder that Americans as a whole is sick, so sick, in fact, that its future may be on the precipice. I don't know how to say that word, Akim Salakia, but you get the gist of it, man. I read articles like this because I know some brothers, not you brothers, but some brothers may not like to read. Right, they'll get this clip here and they won't really read the whole thing, so I'll read it for you, right, and also give you my insight on the article. This is Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 13. And Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Right, so at the end of the day, this is of the Lord's movie, and the Lord's controlling all these things, right? He's making Esau do these things to the people, man, to make a move a certain way, because this is the Lord's movie at the end of the day. Now, what I would say is still take care of your diets, right? Take care of yourselves. Take care of your temple. This is Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 25. A cheerful and a good heart will have a care of his meat and his diet. Again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who I learned from. Shalom to the whole elect, preaching this word in truth and sincerity. And to you ribs, to you sisters out there learning in silence and staying in order, I say to you all, Shalom.